Hello everyone, my name is Scooby Joypad and welcome to another GOGCast, the GOG.com podcast, broadcast live on Twitch. Don't forget, you can check out all of our previous episodes on the GOG.com YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/GOGCom, GOGCOM. And don't forget, you can also check out all of our social media networks for all your latest news and information. So that's Facebook and Twitter, Facebook.com/GOG.com, Twitter for @GOG.com. For all your news. You can check out the YouTube channel again for the previous episodes of the podcast and also all recently released game trailers. And you also check out our SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/GOGCom for the audio-only version of the GOGcast. And our Instagram account, which is also GOG.com. And don't forget, we're here basically because of GOG.com, the DRM-free store that currently offers over 1,500 games DRM-free, which means you don't need connection to a secondary service. Once you purchase it, you own it. That's it. It's your game. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guests. Coming directly from his stream just a few moments ago, you may have watched him. If not, you can check out twitch.tv/GOGCom for the video on demand. It's the Crocs. Hi, Crocs.
Hello, good evening.
Wow, super glad I didn't mute you then. There's this uneasy moment where I'm not 100% sure if I've muted everybody. And the man who is once shall forever be an upper crust above the rest. I'm pretty sure he's going to get bored of that joke from now on. It's Mega Powerman PhD. Hi, Powerman.
Never get tired of it. Say it with full-on confidence. A crust
above the rest. As you do a fist pump in the air.
Yes!
That's what we
Perfect.
need. We need more pie motivation. It's definitely what we need. Right. I'm going to kick things off with the Crocs. The Crocs has just been playing, I forgot the name of it already, on Rusty Trails.
Rusty Trail.
That's the one. I want to know. I literally only caught a couple of minutes of that, so I want to know all about it. What is it? What's it about? How did you find it? Go, Crocs.
On Rusty Trails. Yeah. On Rusty Trails is a platformer at its core. It has all the nice mechanics that you probably know from other platformers, plus some nice extras that are unique to the game as far as I am concerned. At least I did not see them anywhere before. So yeah, you basically play a small triangle and you're jumping around and platforming. That's basically what you do in platformers. As a nice extra, you can walk on, walls. That makes things interesting. So if you're interested in walking down that huge abyss by just walking down its wall, you can do that. You basically stick to the floor where your feet are. So if you land on the side of a block, that counts as floor for you. But it doesn't change gravity. So that is a bit tricky to get your mind wrapped around, but it's fun. It's really fun.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Cool. So, how did you find it? Is it fun? Does it make you think? Are there actual proper puzzles in it, or is it just generally quite a lot of platforming?
It is a lot of platforming, of course. And yes, there is, I think you can count those as puzzles. There is environments that really require you to think how you want to further at once, because otherwise you are just going to die over and over again. So yeah, that happened to me because I did not feel like I need planning at some points. I did. I really did. So yeah, that is a nice thing.
Excellent stuff.
I really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah. Would you say you're enjoying it because it is a fun platformer or just because it's a fun game? Because the two can be a little bit different sometimes.
It is both, I think. It is both a fun platformer in terms of gameplay, but it's also a good game in terms of design and mechanics. So yeah, there's a bit of everything in there. I think it's just good. I really much enjoyed it.
Yeah. How far did you get into it, Crocs? Which sector did you get to?
I think it was the third area and almost to the end there. I don't know how much areas there are in total. I think those are locked.
7 sectors.
So yeah.
Luckily, I can talk about this game because I'm working on putting a video together for it.
Oh, you really?
That's
Who are you doing a video
convenient.
for?
I know it'll be. I was hoping by the time this podcast started, I would have said because I just put out a video, but no, it's not done yet.
Where's
So
your
yeah.
Where's your video going when it's published?
It's going to youtube.com/MegaPieManPhD. That's where it's going.
Oh, I hear that's the hardest place on the internet right now.
Maybe. I don't know. I've put 5 hours into on Rusty Trails so far. I'm about mid of Sector 4, but then again, I've restarted the game a couple of times, been recording footage for it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, while the game is fun for a while, I find it quickly getting tiring since they don't really... It's like what you've played so far, Crocs, that is it through the whole game that I've played so far. They don't do much of anything to really change how you play the game, and the level design doesn't change up all that much. So I found it kind of tiring myself.
Oh, right, okay.
I have to say I did like what I see so far. So yeah, I can only judge from that, and I liked it so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got some cool ideas. You can climb on the different sides of the platforms, and it's got the color switching mechanic, where you're either a red triangle or a blue monster thing, and depending upon what color you are, depends upon which color platforms you can use. So the red guy is going to use the red platforms. The blue guy is going to use the blue platforms. If you try to get up on a blue platform when you're a red guy, the platforms will sink into the background, so you can't land on them.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's,
okay.
It's interesting in that sense, but from what I played, they haven't introduced any other colors. The only thing that they introduced that Crocs probably hasn't seen at this point. If you were through Sector 3, you got to the wind tunnels, didn't you?
I did get through 2 of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Those sidewards falling things?
Those wind tunnels never get more interesting than they've already been, which is a bit sad. But yeah, the only thing that was added is they added explosive platforms that if you land on them as a blue guy, they'll start to explode. But if you land them as a red guy, they don't. And
that's interesting.
it was kind of interesting because there was a boss fight where you actually had to destroy this machine thing. But for the most part, I really never saw them doing much. I mean, the changing colors, the only thing they do to change how you play the game. So I found it a bit on the tiring side, which is a shame because the game is by Black Pants Studio, who has mostly been doing mobile games. But back in the day, they made a game called Tiny and Big and Grandpa's Leftovers. In which
I know that one.
Yeah, that was a 3D puzzle platformer kind of deal where you played as a dude in search of his brother who had stolen their grandfather's pair of magical underpants. So I know those words just came out of my mouth. That exists. You can go play that game.
I never actually played that. I didn't realize that was the story.
That's the story. The story is
amazing.
You play as a character. Hang on a second.
Okay, Pieman's dead. We presume Pieman's house has just fallen down. So yeah, I'm having a quick look at the screenshots on the website, and they genuinely look really nice. Like weirdly, a lot nicer than. Not that this sounds really bad. It looks a lot nicer in screenshots than I thought it looked when I was watching the stream. And this is only because the stream was a very tiny preview window in the corner of my screen, whereas the screenshots are quite large on the GOGCon website. But if it looks like the screenshots when you're actually playing it in anger, so to speak, then, I think it will be a very enjoyable experience because it looks really nice, actually.
It definitely is. So from my point of view, it's a definite recommendation. I really enjoyed playing it, and I think I will spend quite some time with it the next days. So basically what you see in those screenshots, I'm just currently looking at that myself. This is basically what you see in the game, except for those with speech bubbles on them. Those are dialogues happening in the game.
Oh, right, okay.
But that's the general art style you can expect. Nice. I really like that one as well.
Yeah. So you would recommend it as a platform?
I would certainly do that. But what Pieman's opinion is, I don't know. Is he back yet?
I don't know. Pieman, are you there?
Doesn't seem like.
Are you there, Pieman? No, he's wandered off. We've got awesome. We've got Pieman just wandering off into the unknowns of his house whilst
We lost the pie.
We've lost
That is
Pieman.
bad.
That's it. I'm gonna have to put MIA on his little photo, on his little avatar. Okay, cool. What else have you been playing this week, Crocs?
What else have I been playing? I have, Actually, I have been getting
That's it,
back
isn't it?
into the old enemy of my time, which is Borderlands. That game just doesn't want me to have any free time anymore.
Wow. I was talking about Borderlands
just-
with someone recently.
Eats up everything. It's horrible, but it's fun.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I was talking with somebody about, because they wanted to know a good place to get the Tales of the Borderlands collection, and obviously I recommended GOGCom, because always on brand, people, always on brand. But we got talking about the original Borderlands, and I forgot just how small yet intricate that game actually felt. Like, if you compare it to Borderlands 2, which feels much bigger, Borderlands 1
It's
kind of feels
massive,
like Thor. Yeah, I mean, whenever we have a LAN party here, back from my old community manager days, where I used to do like event management. So once a month or so, we have a LAN party here, and we always seem to end up restarting Borderlands 2. For the life of me, I don't know why we just don't continue our save games, but by the time we actually get back and the alcohol has gone through our system, we don't remember what we're doing, what builds we've got, so we're just like, screw it, we'll just start again, don't worry about it. So there's always that bit where you start exploring the big world of Borderlands 2, and thinking about the world of Borderlands 1, I'm just thinking, it's actually quite a small map, really, isn't it? You know, in comparison.
Those are both actually quite big. As I'm currently replaying it, I have found that it is bigger than I had it, than I remember it. Actually.
Really?
That is a weird thing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just mine. Maybe it's just rose tinted glasses on my end, to be perfectly honest.
Probably. Maybe.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I have done that before with games. I will do that again with games. Yeah,
maybe
unfortunately.
it's caused by the level transitions. Because basically they are a lot more noticeable in Borderlands 1. That makes it seem a little smaller, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. You feel like you're going from place to place rather than... It feels like it's broken up into sections rather than it's, we're just going to drive this way for a solid 15 actual minutes and then get to our next destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. For people wondering, no, I don't think Mega Pieman's mic is off. I'm going to guess that there's someone at his door, but, you know, we'll wait until he comes back. I've sent him a message on Skype. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure he won't have accidentally turned his mic off and put it back on. Well, I say that. We did start the conversation like that. So just before going on air, there was a whole, Pieman, are you there? Are you there, Pieman? And we just heard nothing. And then we heard the telltale click of a... Blue Yeti mute button, which everybody who's ever streamed and has watched a stream and has used that button knows that sound. It is synonymous with, my mic's on mute.
Yeah, basically. I think I can be happy that my mic don't has such a button.
Oh, does it not?
No, it does not, and I like the fact that it doesn't. That's one thing less to worry about.
I generally I don't use the mute button because I will forget. Because as people can see on camera, my microphone's slightly to my left, and obviously because the eye surgery and everything, my vision out of my left eye is not 100%. So actually seeing a tiny blinking red light in front of me, I may not see it. So I may just start prattling on about games, start playing a game. Because if I start a stream muted, as watchers of one of my old Dying Light streams will attest to and confirm, I don't know that my mic's on mute. Not to the point of Pieman's legendary status, of course, but I wouldn't know that my pie was on mute. I wouldn't know that my pie was on mute. There we go. That's a statement for you.
That's a statement, yeah.
That's it. And that was the GOGCast, ladies and gentlemen. 18 whole minutes of nothing but us prattling on about microphones.
We actually did have an interesting conversation about programming in my stream.
Really?
We did, yeah.
Nice. One of the weirdest one of the weirdest conversations that we had on my stream was we started talking about automated testing. I don't know how this happened, but chat was just it was back in it must have been 2014, something like that. I was just starting out and I wanted to get into automated testing, and I was like, I randomly mentioned it, and like 3 people started talking to me about automated testing tools because I'm a software tester by trade. 3 people started talking to me about these different tools and the different kernels you can use and the different APIs you can manipulate, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. I watched it back and I'm like, this is so unbelievably dull. This does not make good television at all. I'm like, this is really quite boring. I mean, I had fun, don't get me wrong. I think the people in chat had fun, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was one of those videos on demand that just needed to be deleted, basically.
All right, I'm back.
It's the Pie Man.
It's alive.
What were we talking about?
Well, right then, muted microphones, but we won't go into that topic of conversation with yourself.
Oh, good. I'm glad I missed that conversation.
Yay! So as you are back, Mr. Pieman, I believe you've been playing some of their video games this week. That may be available on their GOG.
A couple of them.
Yeah? You want to talk about them?
Well, the only one I streamed this week so far is the Banner Saga.
Ooh.
Which I talked about before.
Yeah, we've spoken about the Banner Saga before. If you don't know what the Banner Saga is, then congratulations for finding GOGCom on the internet. But the Banner Saga is a very good game. That's pretty much all you need to know. It's one of those games you probably need to play.
The only other thing I can talk about is I can talk a little bit about Factorio. And
I'm interested in Factorio.
Prox and I could talk about Frozen Cortex, which we're going to be doing some MP of tomorrow.
Ooh, how exciting!
I might also be able to talk a little bit about Deadlight Director's Cut. I've never played the Director's Cut, but I did play the original Deadlight. So
that would be quite interesting. I must admit, I am a little bit interested in that because the idea of a zombie apocalypse platformer, I think, well, not actual platformer, but platforming in general, appeals to me, and I didn't really catch it when it first came out in the first place. So the Director's Cut coming out has made me sort of go, wait, what is this? So I do kind of want to know more about it.
So take your pick.
I think Factorio, because I'm interested in that. I know a couple of incredibly nerdy friends at work who play that, and they gush about it quite a lot. So I'm interested in it.
I find it really surprising that Factorio came out and was extremely popular, like right from the get-go. Because Crocs has played it a little bit as well, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and it's a game in development, so it's not finished yet. So people have said that it's a Minecrafty / Terraria game, and it both is and isn't.
Oh, okay.
It is a survival crafter kind of game, but you're not walking around punching trees. Basically,
Right.
You are a guy who survives a crash on an alien planet, and you're the only one who's left of your crew, of course, as games go. You're
Yes.
the only one left alive.
Yes.
And you must survive against the alien menace. Because, of course, aliens always want to kill you.
Absolutely.
But what you're mainly doing is you are mining and you are crafting. But if you try mining and crafting like you do in Minecraft or Terraria, you are doing it wrong.
Okay.
You are not. The whole point of Factorio is to, hence the name Factorio, the factory part of the name of the game. You're supposed to build these large, complex assembly lines to do all of the mining and building for you, so you can sit back and watch. And it's really cool to see how everything works together, because you've got, the last level I was in, I had to create power. So I had to make a steam engine, which I then had to connect to boilers, which I then had to connect to a water source using a particular pump. And then I used the steam engine to generate electricity that I then put onto my electrical-powered drills that would then drill different things like coal So I drill the coal goes in the assembly line, goes down the end of the assembly line, goes to a grabber arm. The grabber arm picks the coal up off the assembly line, puts it into a box. I take the coal out of a box, put the coal into the boiler, which then heats the water to start to go to the steam machine, which makes the electricity go to the electrical mining thing, which mines the coal, which goes to the assembly line, and then the arm picks up what's in the box, and then you know how that goes. So I haven't got to the point
which leads to the elbow, which leads to the shin bone, that sort of thing.
Exactly. I haven't got to the part where I've been able to automate the taking it from the box to the boiler yet.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of an idea of what you're trying to do. You're trying to make self-sustaining systems to mine and build everything that you need to not die.
Basically, you try not to piss off the locals. Because you cause pollution by your actions. If you're building a huge steam-powered factory, that causes a huge amount of pollution, and that some beings do not like that are living close to your base. So you basically have that little defense element in there as well.
Okay, so you have to build defenses up as well.
Yeah, there's gun turrets you can get. You can craft different types of guns. Like you can craft a pistol, craft a semi-automatic rifle, that's like some machine gun, and then craft ammunition to use both of these. The whole idea is really to use your automated systems to build defenses to stay alive. And we're just watching the trailer for Factorio is mesmerizing and somewhat hypnotizing because it looks like a Rube Goldberg machine. I love those things. I can't imagine trying to build anything like they have in that trailer yet.
Yeah, everything's doing something. I watched the trailer, it's like a minute of, you've got a tiny little thing that's producing something that's going off to another little something that's going off to a huge plantation, and then it zooms out and then the entire map is just doing stuff, and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I find it incredibly nice to look at.
The interesting thing about it is that when I first learned that Factorio was a game, I watched some videos of it. I saw screenshots of it. I didn't get it. Yeah. I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, this game is way too zoomed out. Everything's really tiny. I can't tell what in the world's going on. It doesn't look all of that interesting. What do you even do? But now that I'm actually playing the game and seeing how everything really goes together, I understand why people really, really like it. It's the same kind of thing that I would think that people do with like the redstone stuff in Minecraft, where they basically build automated mining things and that kind of stuff. But it's a whole game completely designed around that, and it's so freaking cool looking. You know,
cool.
At some point, there's going to be trains. I don't know when those show up.
Those are actually, you can use them. Yeah, it's just really, 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 really a lot of work to actually get all the resources to build trains.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. So does it level up, like, do you get like technology levels, or is it just basically you're on the planet and you can just build, as long as you have the resources, you can build whatever as soon as you can?
Well, from what I've played so far, it's based on the tutorial, for what the tutorial wants you to build. I haven't gotten out of the tutorial yet. I don't know about it. Rox has played more.
A little, yeah. So no, it is not. You basically start with a basic set of things and then need to research further technology. And that research requires resources you need to first produce, or in the best case, mass produce, to actually be able to do research fast, because otherwise it'll just take ages. So basically it is a game about building a factory, automating things, and optimization. And that is the part I love.
Efficiency. Efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency.
8-bit would love this game.
And
it's all about efficiency.
Process optimization.
I think we'd lose him to it.
I guess it's kind of Don't Starve in that sense, in which you have to research more advanced things, when instead of having to go and gather all of the stuff yourself, the whole point is to build the factory stuff that gathers everything for you and just figure out the best ways to defend it. It's like there was one part in the trailer that I loved with it. They're following the trains around, and then the trains go through this bridge which is like the only way to get to the meat of the area. And the aliens are going down that bridge, and then the trains go over, and then they run over the aliens that are trying to attack all of your stuff. So the forethought to put that together is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far they're going to go with defending right now. It seems like the only thing that you can use to defend is either yourself, gun placements, or trains to run them over. Maybe as the game is developed more, they'll add like flamethrower turrets or rocket turrets or nukes. Who knows? I don't know. You could go like anywhere with this game, but it's mesmerizing to watch the thing work, I find.
I did find it quite intriguing. I mean, I haven't watched anybody live stream it yet, but I think I don't know. I think I'd have to watch somebody live stream it from the beginning. Like I'd probably watch a YouTube series on it.
I think there's one thing you really need to point out. There's one thing you definitely do need for this game, and that is patience. Because if you do like that, you will really get bored. Because in the beginning, there will be waiting for resources to be harvested.
Yeah.
You can, of course, do that manually as well, or in parallel to keep busy. But it's basically the point to automate things, and that takes time. So you will have to invest a fair amount of time to actually build such huge factory lines. But if you do, it feels like it's worth it because it's just cool. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing you're going to jump into and immediately get that gratification. You're going to have to think. It's going to be a time. This is a commitment. This is like a project, basically.
Yeah, it's a project. It's definitely a time sink. Yeah. So I had to pause it to play that in private because I do not have the time to do that right now.
You're just like, no, this is a holiday game. I'm gonna wait until I've got a number of days off.
Exactly. I'll do that. I'll do that in a month.
I'm gonna lock the door for the weekend. I'm gonna turn all the lights down low, get a nice bottle of Chardonnay. Me and Factorio, we're just gonna have a nice old time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's apparently got some online multiplayer as well. Crocs was saying that he's had some kind of a server or something for it. I don't know if that's only co-op or if there's any kind of versus or anything like that.
I have tested for 2 people, and it's co-op. So you build everything in co-op, but you can also attack the other player if you so want, but that's not the point of it. So it's not intended to be, player versus player.
So would you be pulling from the same resource pool, or do we think?
You can do that. Basically, you start at the same spawn point. So you can just build a factory from the start together with another player. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to move to some different location on the map. And everyone is building his own thing. And later you connect that with Rails. That's one thing I personally really would like to do. Because I think that's awesome. If you have those factory, I don't know, you have several factories producing certain goods and then connect that with trains and automate those. And I'm just going to spend way too much time with that.
I think it could be interesting if you could, if they would maybe add some kind of player versus player mode that was somewhat like Stronghold Crusader.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool.
I think that would probably also be possible as a mod. As far as I know, the game has modding support, right? Or did I get that wrong?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much.
Don't know. That would be quite.
I think it does, because that sounds like a decent mod to me, and it would really be fun. I think.
Yeah. I don't know how well it would work in practice, but in theory, it sounds great.
Yeah, it does. I do agree.
We can make it sound fantastic. How it will work, however, is completely different.
We're just doing the sales pitch.
It is. It's one of those little things where it is one of those games where I'm looking at it, and not since one of the first SimCity games, like the proper old 2D top-down ones, have I seen something like this that made me sort of go, I could probably just sit and watch this for way longer than I probably should. In all honesty, because when you get to that point where everything's kind of taking care of itself and everything's almost self-sufficient, you're just sort of like, well, my job's done now. I'm just going to sit back and relax. You're sort of watching your city build itself.
I first had that feeling with Settlers 3. Well, that is not really finished ever, but you can just sit there and look at those tiny people build
Yeah.
things and whatnot. I really enjoyed doing that, so I think that struck that nerve in me for Factoro again. I really like watching detailed things. I don't know. I kind of like it.
It'd also be kind of interesting if they were to add maybe challenges where you had to, sort of like what they do with the tutorial, but it's like you start with these things and you have this amount of time to do this thing. I don't know, something like that could be interesting.
There actually are challenges.
There are. Oh,
yes, there are. Well, basically, you have to do certain. From those I know, you have limited building space and need to achieve something. And there's several of those, but I did not see all of them, so I do not know what the later ones are. But yeah, there are definitely challenges in that. Also, in the free game, you basically have one final goal, which is build a rocket and equip it with the satellite.
Yeah, to space.
Oh,
which is funny
to get
because
off the planet?
Fun things happen if you forget to insert the satellite into the rocket.
You just shoot the rocket.
That is awesome because you spend just way too much time.
And you got to build another
that thing,
ages,
launching it, and then noticing, oh damn, I forgot the screwed satellite. Why?
Yeah.
Now I got to build another one.
Yeah, exactly.
So tear it down. We'll start again. Don't worry about it.
I do wish that the game was a bit more graphically interesting. It's got a lot of brown to it, and even though you can zoom in and zoom out, if you zoom in, it's a very pixelated game, and zooming in is actually kind of a hindrance because it just fills your face with pixels all over the place.
Yeah,
so I do wish that it was not as pixely and possibly a little bit sharper, sort of more of Don't Starvey than teleglitchy as it is at the moment. I don't know if you guys ever played
Judging from the options menu, there is low and medium graphics or texture settings right now. So maybe we have a chance of getting some better textures later on. I don't know. It's still in development.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I mean, they could overhaul the entire thing. There was a game a while ago that did that. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm sure that happened.
They could burn it to the ground and start from scratch. Let's hope not.
Yes, yeah. Right, yeah. So, Mr. Pieman, what else have you been playing this week? So we've spoken about Factorio. What is Frozen Cortex? Because I don't know anything about Frozen Cortex.
Is turn-based robot football in American football. By that,
right, okay. Go on.
Which means I'll probably be very, very, very bad in it. Because I don't know the rules, but anyway.
I think the original Frozen Synapse, it's by the guys who made Frozen
Synapse.
Synapse. That game...
Yeah. I thought that was Mode 7.
Yeah, this game was like turn-based shooter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Frozen Cortex. It used to be called Frozen End Zone. I don't know why they changed it to Frozen Cortex.
Makes a lot more sense, actually. Yeah. I would imagine it's going to be an American football game if it's called Frozen End Zone.
But it's got the similar kind of thing of where you kind of plan out exactly where you want your people to go, tell them to go, then they go and do it, and hopefully they do what you told them to do, and then it's the next person's turn. So it's still that kind of an idea that they had in Frozen Synapse, I believe. Except instead of shooting each other, you're trying to get a football into the end zone to score points. And it's got the walls and stuff to move around, and from what I remember, you can actually tackle and destroy the robots on the other team.
Oh, right, okay.
I think it's been a while since I played Cortex.
God, there was one...
You can tackle them, you can be tackled, you can be stunned, they can catch the balls when you throw them. I haven't seen Destruction yet, but that
I don't remember entirely.
I don't know.
But it's an interesting take on American football, and I've enjoyed what I played of it.
Yeah,
I can say that much.
That's cool. I mean, the games prior to it, I mean, Frozen Synapse especially. I can't remember if there was. I want to say there was two of those. I don't know if it was just that one and then the definitive edition or something like that. I can't remember, but they seem to be incredibly popular with people. So I only assume that whatever Mode 7, again, assuming it was Mode 7 who made the previous ones, I'm pretty sure you've just corrected me and said that it was, or you just confirmed it. They could probably bring out one that's, turn-based tennis and people would still enjoy it. It would it would still sell. People would still buy it because of the success of their previous games and sort of the trust that company has earned. And, if this works, more power to them, I think that idea is a really, really good one. And I think even if they've turned around, this kind of feels, like from the sound of it, kind of feels like the someone in the office has gone, God, what should we make now? A football game? And someone's gone, do you know what? We will.
It's kind of like, is there a way to make a non-lethal version of the game? Because Frozen Synapse 2 is coming out later this year. And Frozen Synapse Prime looks like a spin-off that was made by a different company.
Right,
but
okay.
It was similar. So, I mean, I really like the graphic style that Mode 7 goes with. It's very clean, very, I guess you could say cybernetic, or can't call it really cyberpunk.
Just clean.
It's very digital.
It's just a clean interface, isn't it? It's a clean interface.
Yeah.
It's a clean layout. I like it. It's a very nice to look at. It's a very professional looking, minimalistic viewpoint. So, sorry, what were you saying about it?
I'm just saying that they've had a very good visual style, and it works perfectly for the kind of game that they're trying to put together with Frozen Cortex, because it's very easy to tell exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I immediately noticed when I started it. It is really, really straightforward to understand, so to speak. Yeah. You basically have a very non-cluttered interface, and the controls aren't too hard. So it's basically it's easy to start but hard to master. It's one of those.
Yeah, I imagine like the first few levels are going to be quite simple, but then after that point it's going to be a case of, right, well, we're going to take the training wheels off now, so now it's going to get really hard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I felt it being like, but I had fun playing it.
Yeah, like I said, Sorry, Palmer.
I'm surprised to see that this game's not more popular, considering you've got a couple of not football games, like Blood Bowl, but I think this game I find is much. It's not anywhere near as random as Blood Bowl, but I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
and there's also Speedball, but
there was a game
2 HD, and nobody liked that one.
Yeah, I've been thinking about there was a game ages ago. I can't remember what it was. That was basically robots playing American football, and it was basically just there was a lot of violence. It might have been monsters playing American football. I can't remember.
Was that Mutant Football League you're thinking of?
It might be. I'm not quite sure. Whilst I research this, because I'm a pro and I do this on air, I would like Mr. Pieman to talk about Deadlight Director's Cut, because I'm interested in that and I want to know more about it. Or rather, Deadlight, because you played the original, not the Director's Cut.
Yeah, I did do an entire stream through of the original game back when I used to stream my own Twitch channel. Deadlight is I guess you would call it more of a cinematic platformer than a action platformer. You're kind of playing as like a homeless guy who was put in charge of a group of survivors in a zombie apocalypse. I believe this game is by Studio Whiskey Tango. Is that who made it? Or is it Tequila Works that made it? Tequila Works, I want to say.
Tequila Works, yeah.
Tequila Works. It's the only game they've made so far. I think they have another game in the works, but so far all they've done is Deadlight and Deadlight Director's Cut.
Yes.
And it's got a really very interesting graphics to it that remind me somewhat of this War of Mine, but not quite, because it focuses a lot on shadows and kind of... the game, I guess you could say, looks kind of like a shadow puppet theater sort of thing. They don't do a lot of details on the characters. There are, but they keep them in... You'd have to look at a screenshot for me to really be able to see it, you know? But it tries to be a very dark, depressing game with a good amount of atmosphere to it. Trying to fight your way through all the zombies is actually not a good idea. For the most part, you want to try to avoid them to get around through the different areas. I found the game interesting. The story was kind of eh. Apparently, there's a survival mode now, which I don't know how well that's going to turn out.
Right.
Mechanics were all right. The most interesting thing I found about it was the graphic style that they were going with it. But I mean, it's a zombie game. It's the kind of zombie game you would expect a zombie game to be. I don't really know what else to say about it because it's a cinematic platformer with zombies. You know?
Okay, cool.
I think there's crafting in it.
Right.
It's kind of short, I found.
Yeah. So how do we know how the survival mode will work? Is it just basically you're on one screen and it's wave after wave, or is it just
would
one life?
imagine so, but from what I remember, the combat in Deadlight wasn't super fantastic because from what I remember, you were supposed to try to avoid it more than you were to get into it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how
I
well.
have looked at a video of that, and I think I can confirm that basically the purpose is to more evade battles and to actually get into fights, because that will get you killed quite fast if you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I remember there's a part in it where you start going up against non-zombies. So you start going up against soldiers.
Right, survivors.
They were
okay.
some knockoff band of soldiers who after the zombie apocalypse decided to go out on their own, and they sucked to fight against because they had all automatic weapons and
I was
whatnot.
I'm going to assume they're going to be pretty well kitted out.
I believe there was one section where you had to run from a helicopter.
Right, okay.
Which was
surely
interesting,
the helicopter's got better things to do.
I mean, graphically the game looks really, really cool. If you just look at the screenshots of this, you'll see that all the stuff that's sort of in the foreground is black, and a lot of the characters are black, but then behind the characters, the backgrounds have any kind of color and stuff to them to make everything that's on screen really pop out. So it's a really cool looking game, and the cutscenes are done in a very nice comic book art style. Yeah. So that's the best thing about Deadlight. The story is kind of generic. The combat isn't bad, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily good. Yeah. But I did enjoy it.
It looks a little bit like, I don't know if everybody plays Counter Spy. I'm not 100% sure if it's available on PC. I played it on PS4. But the Counter Spy, it's a similar looking deal where you go, it is a platformer, but you've got to go from point A to point B, and you've got to, hide behind barrels and stuff like this. And it just kind of instantly, my knee-jerk reaction is that it reminds me of that. But maybe without some of the fighting mechanics, if that makes sense. The art style on the cutscenes looks really, really nice. And I do like the fact that it seems to have it looks colourful by its absence of colour, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think it does that quite well. It's like there's this one section that you're in a hospital. The background's this very vivid orangey and red stuff, while the stuff up front is still... The biggest problem that I'm remembering more about it, there is this one section where you have to go through a sewer, because it's a modern game and it means it's got to be a sewer level. But the sewer level, there's some guy who's living down there all on his own, and he's a little bit nuts, and he's filled the place with traps. And because of pretty much everything that's on the plane that you're on is black, it has a problem where it's sometimes difficult to tell exactly what you can interact with and what you can't interact with. The biggest issue was that sewer level, but that happens for some couple of the other areas through the game. And really, there are a lot of the sections, if you, seen this, I'm looking at trailers and stuff, there's a spot with the helicopter. But really, if you try to fight, you're probably going to die. So don't want to fight. You want to work your way around the areas. And I haven't heard great things about the director's cut. I've heard that the director's cut has messed a little bit with the graphics, but the original game definitely was interesting. It was interesting enough that if you haven't played either of them, if you like cinematic platformers and you don't mind another zombie game, check it out. Well, another zombie game is not always a bad thing, especially if it's a good one. I mean,
The prettiest zombie game ever, says Destructoid. There you go. What more do you have to say about it?
I let's move swiftly on. Before I start, let's just move swiftly on. It kind of appeals to me because I didn't know it had originally come out. I hold my hands up and say that. And suddenly the director's cut had come out, and I'm the sort of person that if I've not played the original game, I'm more likely to play either a remastered version or a director's cut or an enhanced edition or whichever, because that's just who I am. That's just the way my brain works. And then I would go back and play the original. For example, if I'm going to play a remastered game of something on PC, and it's apparently 10 times better than the original, I would then go back and play the original. It would inspire me if I'd never played the original to go and play it. But yeah, Deadlight, it looks all right, to be perfectly honest. It's currently on offer. It's currently 15% off, so it's £13 or £13 60 pence. Don't know what that is in your money, in your currency, on your websites.
Dude, Tequila Works' new game is called Rime, R-I-M-E. And it is just so dang pretty.
Really?
Holy crap.
Did they save up all of their paint?
I don't know. Post this in the chat. Check out the Tequila Works website, which is like www.tequilaworks.com. Check out their projects.
I'll pop a link in the description for people of the audio and video people.
I just remember that this was shown off at E3 this year. This looks freaking sweet, dude.
Tequila Works Rime. Oh wow, you're not wrong, are you? That's very, very nice. I'll pop a quick link in chat. Like I said, I'll stick a link in the description of the YouTube video if you're listening or watching the video on demand, and I will also pop a link in the SoundCloud one. But yeah, check that out, because that looks genuinely like a very, very pretty game. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but yeah, Tequila Works are probably one of those developers that you probably want to keep an eye on, because they seem like they're producing good stuff.
I was surprised to see a director's cut for Deadlight, though, because I didn't necessarily know if it was popular enough to get a director's cut. But then again, they made like Flying Wild Hog did a remake for freaking Hard Reset, which, I mean, was popular.
I actually bought the boxed copy of that about a year ago. I found it at a very reasonably priced retail store, which will go nameless, though other stores are available. Thanks, game. And I bought it for a very, very reasonable price, and I got it home. I genuinely really enjoyed it. Like you expected it. I didn't expect it, but the price I got it at was incredibly low, and it looked like one of those sort of bargain basement games that's you buy, you take a bit of a gamble on, and it's probably going to be a bit rubbish, to be honest with you. But got it home, popped it in, installed it, which also came with a DRM-free version, by the way. Thank you very much, whoever did Hard Reset Redux. And yeah, I genuinely really liked it. It reminded me of Shadow Warrior, which obviously then reminded me that it was the same people who developed it.
Yes,
it wasn't it? I didn't want to get my developers and my publishers mixed up again.
Like Hard Reset and Hard Reset Extended Edition were by Flying Wild Hog, which was then they made Shadow Warrior, and then they took the stuff they made from Shadow Warrior and put that into Hard Reset with Hard Reset Redux, which was really odd. But I mean, if you can do a Redux of Hard Reset, which isn't that old of a game, I guess you can do a director's cut makes more sense than a Redux, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's just Deadlight never really seemed like it would be a kind of game that would get a director's cut. You know, it never felt like it was popular enough or really had much more it could have done to a director's cut. Yeah. But I am kind of glad to see that it's coming back out, if only to get Tequila Works' name back out there into people's minds for Rime, because Rime looks freaking sweet.
You never know.
I hope that comes to GOG.
That could be part of the plan, if that makes sense. Maybe they were able to release that, not necessarily to, earn more money. Maybe they were already working on Rime, and they just thought, Well, we will do this. Not only we've got this stuff flying around, we've done a bit more work on Deadlight, and we will release this, and that will keep us a little bit relevant. To be perfectly honest with you, and that will sort of refresh people's memory of who we are. People have released games for a lot less. Let's be perfectly honest.
That's true. That's very true.
Mm.
That's kind of how I felt about Hard Reset Redux a little bit, because later on this year is going to be Shadow Warrior 2.
Yeah.
So just to kind of keep them out there in the public eye, I suppose. Shadow Warrior 2 looks so freaking sweet, man.
It does, yeah. I'm
really
sort
does.
of looking
Really
forward to getting my hands on that because it looks like a fun slashing game.
We can do 4-player co-op, so we don't have to freaking fight each other to the death to stream it on GOG.
Player co-op. It's going to be Deadlight all over again, isn't it? Dying Light, sorry. There's going to be people just jumping off buildings left, right, and centre. I'm totally in.
So, the game that just came out is Deadlight, which is a zombie game. And there's also Dying Light, which is a zombie game.
So, light means
Deadlight's a zombie 2D platform game,
much.
which is somewhat like parkour. Dying Light is a 3D parkour zombie game. All right.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe there's like a trend. Maybe there's a trend of naming conventions in zombie games at the moment. Because there's one coming out called Days Gone at some point. So that kind of has something to do with light, So who knows?
I guess.
Right, what else have you been playing recently?
There's Twilight, the best zombie game you've ever seen in your life.
Twilight, the best zombie game you've ever seen in your life.
Perfect.
I know. It's great.
So yeah, what else did I play? It actually came to my mind when it was mentioned in chat, I think, by G-Pudding. Dreamfall Chapters.
Yes.
That is also a release of last week, I think. Yeah, it is definitely. It is. I literally spent my whole weekend on it. So people knowing me might know that I'm a huge fan of The Longest Journey or Dreamfall, basically the whole series, and it just made sense for me to give that newest one a try there. So this week, okay, let's start from the beginning there. It was an episodic release, and the last episode was just released a few days ago. So basically, it is now available as a complete version on GOG, and it basically concludes the whole The Longest Journey saga. It brings an end to this really indeed very long journey, which has taken, I think the first game was from 1996 or 1998 until a few days ago. So
right.
That's basically one whole story arc, and
It's a pretty long journey.
Yeah.
It is. It is the longest journey, my friend.
It is. See what you did there.
Yeah, we did that.
It's like, well, it can't be the longest journey because there's the never-ending story, which is also a journey.
Huh.
So if the never-ending story never ends, then the longest journey would have to be never-ending.
Huh, okay. That is an interesting thought. 1999 it is. I stand corrected. It is 1999. So yeah, basically Dreamfall Chapters concludes all that. It brings together all the storylines and it puts the story to an end. I think not all people will like the end, but it's an end worthy of the game, I'd say. I'm not going to say more because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, no spoilers, because I've never played it, so it'd be interesting now that it's all out in one. I'd be quite interested to sort of go through it. So, from
my point of view, give it a try. I really enjoyed playing it, and I think I will probably play it again because they reworked parts of the game, parts of the earlier releases, and yeah. So yeah.
Well, so what sort of game is it? Is it a puzzle game, action game? Is it a first-person shooter? Is it a Minecraft clone? Tell me a little bit more about it.
It's, well, Chapters in itself is a third-person adventure game.
Yeah.
There is no shooting there or something. It is, I think, someone in the review section called it an interactive movie. Yeah, that is partly true. It's one of these games that are heavily story-based and have few puzzles. So it is nice to see. It is nice to look at. You can run around in that really beautifully designed city. I have to say that. They did a good job on that. But yeah, it's linear, of course. It is, after all, just an adventure. There's no open world there. But yeah, for what it is, it's good. I like it.
Right.
Is it kind of like the Telltale adventure games?
Not that. No, not really. It is like it, but not completely like it. Okay. So basically, you have more interaction in there. You basically have to figure out where you need to go. You have some basic puzzles in there, and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
cool. It seems a lot of people I know who like adventure games, puzzle games, that sort of thing, or rather exploration puzzle games, do seem to rave about it quite a lot. So it is definitely going to be one of those ones. I think it's on my list. It's on a post-it somewhere knocking around. I think it's on my wish list as well to actually play through it. Now, like I said, one of the few reasons I've actually avoided it is because it's not been a complete series. And I don't know, there's just something about me that until it's a proper series I can play through, I always kind of try to avoid it. In all honesty, I'm not big into episodic gaming, but that's just me. I'm not 100% trustful of it yet. But now it's out as a full series, yeah, I'll probably play through it at some point. But it looks all right. It looks interesting. That's what catches me.
Now you have no excuse not to play it.
Yeah, well, I can make excuses, but right, so Mr. Pieman, have you been playing anything else this week?
Let's take a gander here. Well, I'm trying to remember what all from the last time that we... Of course, you guys advanced the streamer sheet, so I can't take a look at what I streamed last week. But last week, I believe I streamed Zork. And
yeah, how'd you find that? Because I was talking
Zork.
about streaming that a while ago.
Zork's a game that exists. So before I got into playing Zork, I'll tell you my entire experience with this game. There's an Easter egg in Call of Duty Black Ops where if you input a specific code at the start of the game on the main menu, which is your character being tied up in a chair, your character will get out of the chair and you can walk around behind the chair to a computer that has the entirety of Zork on it. My experience of playing Zork is in that game. Playing it on the computer there.
Yeah,
just playing it a little bit using the horrible PlayStation controller to try to input commands, because it's an entirely text game.
It's awful, isn't it? Not the game, as in playing it in Black Ops, because I was a huge Call of Duty fan and I used to play it. And I used to try and play Zork. It's just friggin' such a nightmare. You're just like, I want to play this, but these buttons.
It's cool that they put it in there, but man, it was a nightmare to try to play through it.
Yeah.
So playing it on stream was the first time I got to sit down and properly play it. And those of you who don't know what Zork is one of the the grandfather of PC games, basically. From what I remember, it was made originally at some college, and then it got really, really popular to the point that they decided to put it out as a full game, and then they made a whole series of it. And they're all text adventure games, and they're kind of what you had before point-and-click adventure games. Because first you had text adventure games, which had no graphics. Everything was told to you, and the way that you interact with stuff is by typing it in. And you have to make sure you type in everything correctly, such as go to here, go south, go north. You pick
I
up,
actually
take this
had
item.
fun with that.
Yeah, you have
I
to
had fun with
spell
that a
it
few
correctly.
days ago.
I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore. Eventually, they edited that a bit with graphics. So then you had a text parser and graphics. Then they got rid of the text parser, and you just had the verbs to click on and graphics. Nowadays, you don't have verbs at all. You just click on an item, and you get options of what you can do with it, which I'm okay with, because it's a lot better than some of the finicky stuff that's going on with Zork. But Zork is insane, and I don't know how somebody freaking made that game without having any way of looking at what in the world is going on, honestly.
I imagine a lot of flow diagrams being drawn on walls. Like if the player presses, move carpet, it does this. If they just leave the room, it does this. If they move the carpet, then leave the room, it does this. The design documentation they must have come up with for that must have been astronomical.
Yeah, I imagine that being insanely huge.
I mean, this is how it goes. Okay, so you start in a forest in front of a house. You go behind the house to get in the house. You're in the house, you collect items, you find a hatch underneath the carpet. You go down the hatch into a cave system. You go through the cave system through a whole bunch of different rooms that tend to look the same but are somewhat a little bit similar. Eventually, you get to a place called the Round Room. You go to a direction in the Round Room, you'll go to like an underground ocean that you can't do anything with. If you go back to the Round Room, go another direction, you'll go to an Echo Room. The Echo Room echoes everything you tell the game to do. So if you don't tell the game to do something specific, it will just echo what you said back at you. And at first it's cool, and then it's really, really annoying. Because I say, like, go left. It'll just say left, 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 as if echoing, as if you're speaking what you're doing out loud.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. At some point, I ended up in an Egyptian tomb, and I opened up a sarcophagus and took a scepter out of it. But I'm still under the cave, under the house, in the forest, in the lane of Zork, wherever that is.
Yeah, I really like the idea of these text-based adventures where you just
it makes no sense.
You have to kind of make the story up in your head. It's just you're in a house. What do you do?
Yes, if you try to pick up the platinum bar that's in the Echo Room, all it says is bar back at you, which is infuriating. So I imagine there's some way to figure that puzzle out. At one point I found the gates to Hades where the spirits were laughing at me because I couldn't go across. And then another point I found a book which I burned, and then I got cursed and got sent to the gates of Hades as a spirit, so I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk, I couldn't speak, I couldn't go anywhere, but I couldn't go in the gate. Because there's a force field on it.
Yeah,
so
of course there is.
It's really cool, but also really frustrating. I have a paint file of a map that I tried to draw out in Microsoft Paint while going through the game. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. Some people seem to enjoy the stream that I did. I think it's better as a once and done kind of thing. I don't know how much more my sanity could have been with the game, because when I started the game, I was like, oh, let's play some Zork. I installed Zork too, because I don't know how long this game's going to be. Maybe we'll beat it. And the next thing you know, the farthest I got was talking to a thief in the Egyptian tomb.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to get out of there because I couldn't reach my rope at the end of 2 hours. So I don't know where I was story-wise, but yeah, that game turned out to be a lot more intricate and confusing than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why I thought it wasn't going to be that intricate and confusing, but man.
That is precisely why I did not want to play it on stream. I really wanted to play it because I've never played Zork, and it's one of those, I don't know, I think I went to the Res game show in London a little while ago, and I played a game where it told you like the history of text adventure video games. So you had something like Zork. It wasn't Zork, but you had something like Zork where it was just text, and you had to go east, go west, pick up item, use item on bear, that sort of thing. And you had like, do you remember the ones where you had text at the bottom and it said you can go north, south, east, west, through the door, to the forest, or off the cliff? And then you'd have like almost an ASCII based picture of where you were, and these things were always ugly as sin, but this was one of the first instances of actual graphics in adventure games.
Pre-King's Quest.
Yeah, exactly. you had that, and it was a case of it built up that, and then it took you to a different terminal. This fully immersive 3D game that you were playing with a VR headset on and everything took you to another terminal where you played a different text adventure game, then another text adventure game, that sort of thing. And that kind of made me think, oh yeah, text adventure games. There's something weirdly sort of nostalgic, and I kind of want to play them because I never really played them as a kid, if that makes sense. I played a couple, but I didn't really play them a lot, not probably as much as other people did. So I wanted to get into it, but the exact thing you just said is you'd lose your marbles if you played it as a series, or you just get completely lost. I mean, I think I'd have to sit there and just, without knowing what I'm doing, just kind of guess a lot of stuff, because
yes,
I'll admit
it's a lot of use everything on everything and hope something happens.
That's it. That's exactly it. I had a quick look at how long the Zork speedrun was, because that's the sort of thing I look at. And it was about, I think, 2 hours or something like that. And I'm like, no way, surely you're just typing in single letter commands sometimes. Surely it's shorter than that. And I had a look. I watched half of a speedrun of the original Zorg, and some of those commands bear no semblance to what you're actually doing in that room. Unless you know what you're specifically doing, you have no idea what to do. It's just,
well, it took me a while to realize that there are 8 directions to move in. You can move north, south, east, and west, but there's also northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. And I didn't know that because in the round room area, I couldn't figure out what to do. And it's a really good game to play with chat, because one of the things that made this game popular in the first place was that people were like, when it first came out in the college and everything, people were working together on campus to try to figure out how to beat it. Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good game to play with chat if you can get chat to play along. And that's what, for the most part, chat was playing along when I was streaming it. So that made it really cool.
Yeah.
But still, it's just trying to figure out. The game doesn't tell you the commands. The manual tells you some of the commands. But for the most part, you have to figure everything out yourself. And there's a lot of shortcuts. And it's a very complicated game for how simple it looks like it's going to be.
Yes.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll ever play it again. But I liked it.
Yeah.
It was nice to go into and take a look at some history and realize that you can't hold yourself, and nor can you. Apparently, if you type in "eat self," the game will tell you that you can't do auto cannibalism, which I guess makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
The most annoying thing about Zork is that you have a limit to your inventory, unlike a lot of modern
no way of
point-and-clicks.
seeing it.
You can see your inventory, but you can only carry so much with you, and every item has like a different weight value. So you have your. It's like, okay, I need to pick up a bell, so I'm going to put down a pamphlet so I can pick up the bell. I'm going to put down these leaves I could pick up, so I can grab this other thing. But if I take like this huge axe that I can't carry other stuff, I have to drop everything to pick the axe up. So you have to remember where you left your stuff. If you forget where you leave your stuff,
of course,
or
it will
you
be
leave
in the
something
room
somewhere
that you left
can't
it
get, if you leave something somewhere that you can't get back to yet,
oh god. So if you like the idea of text adventures like this, you can get the Zork anthology on GOG.com. Currently available for less than £5. There you go.
If you picked it up on the summer sale, it was $1.99.
Oh wow.
But I think the summer sale's over, isn't it, by now?
I think so. I think it's officially over. I think it's therefore it's no longer summer.
Man,
I think that's
didn't
how it
get my
works.
free copy of Spelunky. I didn't get
I
enough
did.
Spelunky.
I didn't either. I completely forgot.
I kept forgetting to check in.
I know, so did I. I'm such a cheapskate. So Zork. There you go. We've spoken about Zork. Hard-hitting, up-to-date, topical conversations about video games. Just to let people know, I just mentioned that I watched a speedrun of Zork that was in about 2 hours. I didn't. I watched a playthrough of Zork that was 2 hours. Sorry, the speedrun currently stands at, I think, about 7 minutes, which makes much more sense in all fairness.
It beat that game in 7 minutes.
7 minutes. That's just someone just hammering the keys in exactly the right order, isn't it? They're not even looking at the screen. This is not fair. You could have speedrun that like 10 times. What were you playing at?
I don't. I
Um,
don't know,
right.
whatever.
What else have we got? Have you been playing anything else, Mr. Pyman?
I did do a stream of Tetrabot and Co., which is a
Ooh.
fun little puzzle game by Swing Swing Submarine. It's
Ooh, I like
in
them
the
guys.
same universe as their previous game called Blocks That Matter.
Also a
That
very good
was
game.
a puzzle platformer, but it's not exactly the same. You play as a little robot called Psychobot who is trying to repair Tetrabots. And it's you still can do things with the different blocks of different kinds of matter, and it's got a thing in it called face blocks, which is where it tells you what all of the blocks do and what their favorite songs are and their relationship statuses with each
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
which is hilarious. But it's a really fun puzzle game. If you're into puzzle games, I would definitely say give Tetrabot and Co. a shot, as it can be mind-melting at sometimes. It's another game that if you really can get chat to play along, it's really fun. I was able to get chat to play along together. We were able to figure out some of the puzzles. But it wasn't till after the stream was over that I looked up one of the solutions to the thing, because you can't just beat a level in Tetrabot and Co. No. You have to beat a level and get 3 golden blocks that are in specifically difficult to get locations by solving specific puzzles in Tetrabot and Co. to
Right.
really be able to play Tetrabot and Co. Because you need a certain number of gold blocks to be able to unlock levels in the future. There's 3 gold blocks per level, and if you don't get all the gold blocks in one run through of the level, then I don't believe it counts that you got any. So you have to get all 3 of them at once, which is a little bit annoying. But it's really, really freaking satisfying when you're able to figure out how to do everything and go through it from start to finish without getting stuck. But it does have an undo button, and that is awesome. I appreciate that. Although I did glitch the game at one point, and one of my blocks was disappearing every time that I tried to use it. It was a bit of a pain in the butt. But it's a beautiful game. It's got some really good artwork, and it's got some really good atmospheric music that meshes well with the artwork. I like it more than I liked Blocks That Matter.
Really?
Because
I really enjoyed Blocks That Matter.
Blocks That Matter was a little bit annoying because everything you did, you have to do it in 4s. And after a while, I found that kind of grating.
Yeah.
I guess is the word for it. In Tetrabot and Co., you don't have to do everything in 4s, even though blocks of the same kind do still stick together. Like there's a block later on that's a mirror block that's half of a glass block and half of a steel block, and the steel block part will stick to other steel blocks, but the glass block part won't stick to steel blocks. The glass block part will stick to other glass blocks. So figuring out how to, and they'll also reflect laser beams around all over the place, and laser beams will catch wood blocks on fire that you can use to catch other wood blocks on fire to get through different areas. Or if you use a sand block on a laser beam, it'll turn into a glass block. Then glass blocks let laser beams go through them. So it's really cool and complex. I've enjoyed my time with the game. I have to say, if you're into puzzle games, really give Tetrabot and Co. a shot. Yeah. And another reason why I point that out is because a while ago, I heard from Swing Swing Submarine that Tetrabot and Co. was not selling as well as they had hoped, so they didn't know if they would be able to finish their next game if it doesn't sell well. And I don't think their next game is even out yet.
Right.
Let me just check here.
Because I genuinely really liked Blocks That Matter. I thought it was really colourful and different, and I think it was around the same time that Battle Block Theatre came out, or it might not have been the same time that Battle Block Theatre came out. I may have just been making that logical leap in my head. I'm not quite sure why, but it reminded me of that, and I think that's one of the things that I really liked about it.
Yeah, Seasons After the Fall. Seasons After the Fall is the next game by Swing Swing Submarine, and man, it's got like these amazing painted landscapes and crap. It looks like a freaking portrait.
Wow.
So buy this game so that Seasons After Fall exists. That way I can play that, because that looks really dang cool. Apparently you're playing as a fox in a magical forest thing.
I'm done with playing as foxes.
Okay, I'm sold.
I'm not playing as foxes after playing Shelter 2. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it anymore. Something dies. Something always dies. I get my heart broken by a video game. We move on. Yeah.
Game's been in development. I mean, it's been in development at least since 2014. They're still working on it.
Yeah.
But I really hope that Tetrabot and Co. It was on sale on the summer sale. They're still trying to put it out there. It's a really, really fun game. If you're into puzzle platformers, check out Blocks That Matter. If you're into puzzle games, check out Tetrabot and Co. You can do a lot worse in both genres than those games. They're really, really good.
Yeah.
So check them out.
Cool. Excellent stuff.
Support your local indie devs, even though these guys, I think, live in Sweden.
Well, even far away indie devs still need support. To be perfectly honest, I'm a big indie game.
Well, we all live on
Earth,
so we're all local, I suppose.
This is true. This is very true. More people, there would be less violence and wars in the world if more people thought like Megapam and PhD. There you go.
I'm glad I could be a philosopher.
Absolutely, you'll be known as one of the great minds, one of the great pie minds of our generation when the nuclear holocaust happens. That was a nice cheery note to end that segment on.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good job there, Mike.
Thanks very much, professional host. Ding. Yeah. So what have I been playing this week? I have been playing Mega Drive games because I'm topical and I like to stay on top of the current trends in technology. I've been playing the Sega Mega Drive, also known as the Sega Genesis in non-UK or European countries. That's pretty much it for me, to be perfectly honest. I played Dark Souls 3 a bit. That's about it. I haven't been playing many video games. It's been a busy couple of weeks. It's going to be another... Yeah, it's going to be a busy another week for me next week because I'm on holiday. But then the week after, I will actually be playing some proper video games, which is cool. So that'll be good. Yeah, that's about it from me. To be perfectly honest with you. So what else has been released this week? So we've talked about Frozen Cortex. We've talked about Deadlight Director's Cut.
Gun came out.
Gun came out. Yeah, just very quickly about Deadlight Director's Cut. You can catch Outstar Walker's stream on the Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/GOGCom. Have a look at the videos on demand and check out her stream. It's only going to be there for about, I think, 30 days, 60 days, a month. Let's say a month. Let's hedge our bets. And then the videos on demand get recycled, unless they're highlighted, obviously. We've got On Rusty Trails. Gun came out as well. I never played Gun. I don't even know what it is.
Gun is like Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption. From what I understand, the cool thing about Gun coming to GOG is that it's been available on other digital distribution platforms for a while. Yep. But from what I understand, it has not actually been playable on other digital distribution platforms for a very long time. So basically, nobody's been buying it because it hasn't been playable. It was by Neversoft, so it's by the dudes who made the freaking Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, the good ones. But it coming to GOG is actually really cool because that means it might actually, or most likely, I would highly doubt if it wouldn't be in a playable state. So if previously you couldn't play it on other digital distribution platforms because it wasn't playable, now it's playable and it's on GOG. So go and play it.
GOG.
It's a Western game. It's open world, okay. I think. Cowboys, Indians.
You mean West as in Wild West? I thought you just meant like it's Western as in it's got like barbarians in it and stuff like that. I wasn't quite sure what you meant. I don't know. There's like Western adventure games and Eastern adventure games. There's two like distinct differences, isn't there? So I didn't know if you meant Western in that style, as in it's got a lot of Western references in it, not Western as in shootouts.
It's very capitalist.
That sort of thing.
Very capitalist.
It's a very capitalist game. Yeah.
Yes, very Western, very capitalist.
It's known as the superpower of video games.
Oh, it looks neat. I think somebody is going to be streaming that this week. I want to say tomorrow. Darksaber 2K is going to be streaming Gun. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, definitely stop by tomorrow at the same time as GOGCast was today.
Absolutely.
That tomorrow being the June 24th.
Yep.
And you can check that out and see if that is your kind of stuff.
Indeed. And Darksaber's a funny guy, and he likes to have a lot of fun with games like that. So, yeah, that should be very, very entertaining, to be perfectly honest. I don't just say that because he's a fellow countryman. I do say that because he's a genuinely funny dude.
This game's by... Oh, dude. You know what? Now that this game is on GOG, this makes me hope that freaking some of the Call of Juarez games come to GOG.
Call of Juarez.
Call of Juarez Gunslinger is like the best cowboy FPS I've ever played. I mean, it's like right. You know what? I'm just gonna say it's above Outlaws. I like it better than Outlaws. There, I said it.
Wow. That's a bold statement, my friend. A bold statement.
I think Call of Juarez is Activision, but Gun was also Activision, so it's possible
knows,
that
yeah.
if Gun can come to GOG, maybe. I mean, the
Anything
older
can
Call
happen.
of Juarez games, I don't know. Gunslinger is a bit of a newer one, but hopefully it will. Call of Juarez is basically dead nowadays after the cartel turned out to be a big pile of crap. But Gunslinger is by Techland. It's so
Well, yeah.
it's so good.
Cool. We've randomly got a question in chat. Tikanjia asks, question if there is time. Have any of you ever played a game that was kind of boring, but then you streamed it and found it was way better than playing it alone? Can you give us any examples? Have you chaps got any examples for this?
Probably a couple of games that I've done streams of that I was worried about. Death Trap, actually. Death Trap that I streamed about 2 weeks ago. I played through a little bit of that, the tutorial, just to get a hang of it, and I was immediately kind of like sweating bullets. I'm like, this is going to be the most boring stream I've ever done. And then the stream came around and actually turned out to be all right.
Yeah.
Generally, that's how it is. If I ever feel like there's a game that's not going to work well on a stream, and then I get into the stream, it's okay. There is one game I've not streamed because I felt that it was a little bit dull and not going to work, and that's Slain. I did not feel like I could do a good stream for that one, so I just haven't. I don't know if it would have been all right or not.
Yeah.
At the very least, Death Trap, yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself, Crocs?
Huh. Actually, I'm just scrolling through my library and thinking.
I already have mine, it's fine. I know mine immediately.
Yeah, so basically, there is probably no game I did not also enjoy playing on my own. So I'm kind of out of that one.
There's no game that you enjoyed playing on stream more than you enjoyed playing alone.
Yeah, basically.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I honestly think my answer would have to be Surgeon Simulator. Amazingly enough, I find that game. I'm very focused on completing the surgeries as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible, rather than having fun when I play it on my own. If I'm playing it on stream, that's completely different. Or if I'm playing it for a video, that's completely different. I start playing it a different way. I start having a lot more fun with it. But if I just sat there, I'm not that I'm very serious when I play it, but I'm less animated when I play it when I'm on my own, obviously, because there's no one sat there watching me. But it's sometimes I am that animated when I play video games. It drives my wife bonkers. But yeah, I think that's one that, especially now, because I've played that game a lot, and I'm now, it's very by the numbers when I play it. I'm very, do the heart transplant, bosh, 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 done that. Do the liver transplant, bosh, 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 or the kidney transplant, sorry.
That really sounds healthy, you know?
Well, the fact that
if you just speed up the whole process, you won't feel any pain. It'll be over really fast.
It's a little bit like keyhole surgery, only I'm using a saw.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be, it's going to be Surgeon Simulator, because I can't think of any other game that I've enjoyed more on stream than I have on my own, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for the question, Tikanjia. It is always nice when people ask us questions, because they normally come out with some really weird stuff. I'm surprised Pyrofox isn't in chat at the moment asking about the preserving of milk in warm countries, which is an in-joke, and anyone who hasn't watched the previous episodes of the podcast should probably go and do so at youtube.com/GOGCom or soundcloud.com/GOGCom and subscribe to our channels there. Right, what else have we got? What else has been released? We've got, obviously, last episode of Dreamfall Chapters, Factorio, which we talked about quite a lot, We've got Ori and the Blind Forest, which we kind of covered a little bit last week. And honestly, I've not played it, but I'm kind of in love at the moment, especially over the last week or so. I'm kind of in love with the soundtrack because I've got Google Play. And every now and then it will pop a new album into my... Also, I really like Google Play, I've got to admit. Every now and then it will pop a new album into my library, and it will just say, based on your listening habits, we've put this in your library. Would you like us to continue with these sorts of recommendations? And because I listen to a lot of video game soundtracks, because I'm a nerd, it sort of went, oh yeah, you've not listened to this yet, and we've got this. It's Ori and the Blind Forest. So I was like, why not? Let's do that. It's a really nice soundtrack. But I don't know if you guys have actually played the game.
I did both play it and enjoy the soundtrack. So I really am with you on that one. The soundtrack is amazing. It's among one of the best I ever heard. It's really great to listen to it, both in the game and just for listening.
Yes.
It's just good.
Yeah. I'm finding I'm doing that a lot with games at the moment. I'm listening to soundtracks, even for games that I either don't play anymore, and I never heard these sections of the soundtrack, or I've never played. Like, good example, Flame in the Flood. I listen to the soundtrack of Flame in the Flood almost once a day. Like, when I'm at work, it's just good to just tune out to and do my work to, and just listen to it. Never played the game. It's a really weird, bizarre sort of scenario, but I really like soundtracks like that where they can be taken out of context and enjoyed completely standalone.
That's interesting.
What about yourself, Pyman? Have you played Ori and the Blind Forest?
I have not. I didn't. The last week we tried to talk about it, and I haven't this week. It looks interesting. It's got a cool idea. From what I understand, you can kind of create your own checkpoints.
Yeah.
There was a game a while ago that did that called They Bleed Pixels, which was interesting.
Oh. Right.
I don't know if it's similar in Ori the Blind Forest or not, but I always like that kind of an idea. So maybe I'll get a chance to try it out. I don't know. It's got the definitive edition that's out now. It's kind of weird because I don't remember if I talked about this previously. But I always find it odd when you have like definitive editions and or director's cuts that completely replace the original version of the game. It's like the extended edition of Hard Reset completely replaces the original Hard Reset. So you can't find the original Hard Reset. And I think I talked about this at some point to somebody. I don't remember if it was on GOGCast. And people in chat were saying that, well, why would you want the original version? The new one's better. Well, the new one's not always necessarily better. There might be some things you liked better about the older version.
Yeah, I think you should always have the choice. In all fairness,
options are
you should have
nice.
the choice to get that. Whether or not it's, we've updated. This is basically the same game. We've
still a pretty looking game.
Yeah, we've added graphical enhancements, but there's also quite a few bug fixes in here, so we're going to call it the Enhanced Edition. That's kind of normally what they do. But, like you say, they normally allow you to have the choice of one or the other, to be perfectly nice. It's a little bit strange that they've completely replaced it, because normally, or maybe they're just trying to think of the consumer, to be perfectly honest. Maybe they're thinking, we don't want someone to go out, buy the original version, and then realise they haven't bought the Enhanced Edition, or that the Enhanced Edition is actually there, so we'll update the normal edition. But there you go. That's my marketing head on there. We've got a couple of questions. Heimdall Plays asks, do any of you wait for a game to play for your hardware to catch up to a demanding... Do any of you wait for a game to play for your hardware to catch up to a demanding game? So I think what it means there is, do you wait for a certain game to come out before you upgrade your PCs?
No, because I have no money. I upgrade the PC if I ever have any money to put into it, and if I don't, I just put it to low settings. And if that doesn't work, maybe in a couple of years they'll figure out a way to fix it.
Yeah,
it's like I remember when Watch Dogs came out, I had it on my computer, and I couldn't play it for crap, and I had a PS3 version, so I'm like, well, I guess I'm playing this on the PS3 then.
Yeah, I mean, I am a filthy
Which was a bit sad because I ended up
with
with two versions of Watch Dogs of all games. but
What? Sorry, no. Do you not mean watch_dogs? Not
watch
watch
underscore
dogs.
dogs. Yes.
Watch_dogs. It's very important. Very important distinction.
The underscore
There,
is
gotta make
important,
sure
yeah.
you make that distinction.
Ubisoft are
Yes.
incredibly anal about their naming.
You mean
conventions.
Cyberpunk Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, basically. I remember I was at one of the many press events for Watch Dogs because there was
Creed
about 1,000 of them. And one of the Ubisoft, I overheard one of the Ubisoft guys specifically yelling at someone from a very, very well-known gaming publication online. Won't go into who it is, but they specifically said you are not allowed to publish anything that describes it as Watch Dogs. You have to put the underscore in every single version of this of the game, otherwise we will sue you.
Because they copyrighted it
Yeah,
with the underscore. They copyrighted it
Wonderful.
with the underscore. That means they have to use the underscore in order to keep the copyright.
That's
Because
wonderful.
if you don't, you constantly use the underscore, then if they ever have to defend it for some stupid reason, if somebody
Yep.
puts out a game called Watch Dogs without the underscore,
Yeah.
then they can't defend it in court.
Absolutely. This is
That's-
exactly
that's
my
law.
train of thought. I was with the guy who was saying it, but
Stupid
just the
crap.
way he said it, just was like, wow, you guys are really, really passionate about this, aren't you? It's
No,
like,
no, it's Watch
underscore dogs. It's a very important
You can't
underscore.
watch any other dogs besides the underscore dogs.
Yeah. What is this Watch Dogs of which you speak? I don't know what this game is. I've never heard of it. No, watch underscore dogs. Oh yeah, I like that game.
Watch underscore dogs underscore 2.
Yeah.
Watch underscore
That'll be
dogs too.
fun.
Dog harder. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Crocs,
Can't be
what's
worse
your...
than Kane and Lynch Dog Days.
This is very true. Crocs, what's your answer to Hamdall's question? Do you normally upgrade your PC hardware for a specific game, or do you just do it as and when?
I did. Wait, let me think. My last PC upgrade is, I don't know, 4 years ago. That is when I got a second-hand PC from a friend that was used. Then I put in another graphics card I got from another friend. So basically, my PC is just a puzzle. It has been put together from various parts, from various sources.
It's alive! It's alive!
It's alive, yeah. Every time I start it, I feel like, yes, it's still working.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Still
That's
alive.
sort of a miracle. That's
Yeah.
sort of a miracle. And yes, I do actually, well, I am aiming for a PC upgrade later this year. For the technical people amongst the listeners, I am waiting for AMD to release the new processor generation. And if that is any good, I'm going to go for one of those. And I'm going to wait until they release, and that will be not until later this year. So I'm stuck with this for now, but I am planning an upgrade. It is already planned, it is scheduled, it will happen. Only question is when it will happen, but that is not something I can decide, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly understandable. I myself, I was really fortunate. I used to do PR work for a custom gaming PC builder company before they went under. No correlation there. And they,
Sure?
well, I'm almost certain. Yeah, I was doing good work. They kitted me out with a pretty decent rig for the time, which was about 10 years ago. And I've kind of added to that every now and then, only when I've needed to. So I used to be running two graphics cards, so many gigs of RAM, that sort of thing, which kind of tided me over, playing everything on maybe not ultra settings, but I'm not the sort of person who would demand ultra settings, if that makes sense. So if it goes on high, then I'm happy with that. If it doesn't play at 1080, then I'll play it at 720. I'm okay with this. You know, it's a little bit of a blur, but I'm perfectly all right with that, and I don't really notice it. But since I'm doing a lot more video work, since I'm doing a lot more games related work, and since I basically work off of my PC, I've had to take, and obviously since starting the business, I've had to take a lot more care of my PC. So I've had to constantly service it, upgrade it, that sort of thing. Not only because it's just part of my work, but also because it's become a bit of a hobby of mine, you know. So yeah, I suppose mine's just I'll upgrade it when I think I need an upgrade, but that doesn't necessarily mean I definitely need an upgrade. So yeah, I've turned into a bit of a PC hobbyist, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, we've also got a question from you, Christensen, asking, question for GOGCast, has there ever been a game where you have changed the option of a soundtrack after playing the game, where you have gone to dislike it or appreciate it more? That's actually a really good question. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else can think of one.
I don't know if I appreciated it more, but the soundtracks of the Hotline Miami games are just beautiful to listen to outside of the game. There are very few soundtracks that I have heard that are good outside of the game. There are a lot of soundtracks that are good while you're playing the game, but many of them don't tend to stand up on their own.
Yeah,
there's only a couple I can think of off the top of my head, which would be the soundtracks for Hotline Miami games. The soundtrack for Blood Rain Betrayal, I liked that a lot. That was really cool. And I got a ton of nostalgia for anything that was ever in any of the Crash Bandicoot games. So
yeah.
Those, of course,
absolutely. Yeah, there are certain soundtracks. I mean, they're on par with the Mario soundtracks, really, aren't they? They're sort of, you know, they're proper classic soundtracks that you don't really take.
I have some amazing metal covers of some of the Crash Bandicoot soundtracks.
Really?
And who's the guy who made it? Tolkuton. Tolkuton. Google that. Go to his YouTube channel. He's got some really cool not necessarily remixes, but metal covers of Crash Bandicoot songs and other video game songs, and really freaking good.
Yeah, still can't really think of one. What about yourself, Crocs? Can you think of any? Because you're a soundtrack man, aren't you?
I'm a very, very big fan of soundtracks if they're good, yeah. And I have to agree with what has been said earlier. Some soundtracks just do not work as well outside of a game than inside, because you have just, you know, that visual message with them that sort of carries a soundtrack for that at least goes with some tracks. But others, I think there's soundtracks, there are tracks on that aren't even in the game, or only in the credits if you actually watch those. That's actually a reason I do actually watch credits, because there's mostly soundtrack tracks that are not in the game.
Yeah.
So that keeps me watching that. Thousands of names going by of people who probably were never involved with even creating the game, but just with marketing it.
Yeah, very true. Just people in PR and marketing, that sort of thing.
That's actually funny, because I once had a game that, I don't know, basically it's had blah 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 game studios and listed, I don't know, 20 names, and then there were distribution partners, and that went on for 50 minutes. They just literally put everyone working for their distribution partners in the credits. That is something that was really weird.
It's a big part of the industry, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the actual people who make the games, unless you're talking about, it's quite shocking as well. Unless you're talking about big AAA games that take like hundreds of people, like 5 years to make or 10 years to make or something like that. A lot of it is, you know, small teams of coders, small teams of testers, that sort of thing, and just everybody else is just marketing, distributors, PR, that sort of thing. It's all the auxiliary people.
Head of PR, head of localization, head of game testing. Okay, game testing I can understand, localization as well, but do you really need the whole marketing department with literally everyone working with them, including internships?
Well, yeah, because that's like cheap labor for people.
Yeah,
to be
probably.
Perfectly honest. Oh, you want to be an intern in the games company, huh? Well, we got a job for you.
You will be paid in screen time in the credits.
Yeah, you will be paid eventually.
That's your payment, basically. Maybe.
That's how most of the games industry works. If Lionhead has anything to do with it, you will be paid one day.
I don't know. I just found it weird when I noticed that basically the ones programming the game were, I don't know, like done in 30 seconds and afterwards just distribution, international distribution.
I don't know
like,
how. Yeah, I'm not
I don't know.
100% sure how true that is. I think I know a couple of games coders that would probably disagree with you there, but I do understand your. I understand the team of people who actually create the game, as in doing the coding, is going to be a lot smaller than the people who are promoting the game, like putting adverts on billboards. And you know, depending on the size of the game, you're talking about adverts on billboards, TVs on television, adverts on television, adverts in magazines, adverts on websites. You're talking about mobile apps, you're talking about adverts in cinemas in some cases, because I remember when I was sat down in the cinema a little while before Witcher 3 Wild Hunt came out, I saw an advert for it, and then they had a whole segment about it, which was actually really cool and really exciting, and not something I'd really seen. So yeah, there's a lot there. But I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh God, I've been racking my brain trying to think of something.
It's all right. I feel like I have more. You've got like anything by Jake Kaufman, such as the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack.
That's a good shout.
Which-
Yeah.
It's so great that like the first level of any area is music, which is really good. It's very 80s cheese, and then the second backtrack for any area is like a full 80s cheese song with lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
It's mwah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
Of course,
that is
you've
a good
also
shout.
got the greatness that is the Super Meat Boy soundtrack.
Oh yes, I know. Do you know what? It might have to be Super Meat Boy, or actually Binding of Isaac. Weirdly enough, I think
Still
the Binding
Danny
of Isaac.
Baranowski.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think
Danny B is fantastic.
Danny B is the man. He really is. I do have a bit of a musical crush on Danny B, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, when I was playing Binding of Isaac, I didn't really, other than the mid-level skip music, the Telltale sort of sort of tune that plays and everyone recognises it. I didn't really hear the music, if that makes sense. I was so focused on what I was doing. I was so focused on the actual game, on the run, that sort of thing. But when I started to listen to the soundtrack, I'm like, God, yeah, this is actually really good. Like, it's just atmospheric music, but it's really good atmospheric music. So yeah, it's probably going to be Binding of Isaac.
But then you also always have, speaking of more 80s cheese, because I love me some 80s cheese,
Oh yeah,
the
it's
Far
best
Cry
cheese.
3 Blood Dragon freaking soundtrack.
Yes.
Somebody in chat literally just posted it right now.
They did.
It's so good.
It is a very, very good. I think that's the sort of
It's
one
great.
that you would appreciate when you're playing it, and also after you've played it as well, if that makes sense. I think ones where I've played it, but I've appreciated it more when I've listened to it separately, if that makes sense. That's definitely mine.
Actually, one of those soundtracks I really liked myself, or basically those soundtracks of two games, the one from Bastion and the one from Transistor.
Oh God, yeah. Oh no, those I
Those
probably
are
enjoyed.
really good.
so
I
amazing.
really enjoyed in the
Yeah.
game as well, especially the Transistor ones. I really genuinely enjoyed those in the game. But yeah, there was a
I
time
haven't
when
played Transistor yet, but
Oh, you totally should. Oh man, it's one of them weekend games. Like I said, last of the Crocs, lock the door, take the phone off the hook, turn the lights down low, get Transistor on, just get comfy and just blast through it. It's a brilliant game.
It really is. I gotta agree there. It's worth every minute playing it.
It is one of those games you've just got to play.
one of the weirdest soundtracks that I really like is actually the soundtrack for Super Hexagon. It's very electrical. I'd say it's a super electronic soundtrack, but the sounds they're able to come up with sound really, really good together.
That's very true. Someone in chat has just said the FTL soundtrack as well. That's another really good one that I find myself listening to, but I don't hear it when I'm playing the game, if that makes sense.
The problem that I have with a lot of soundtracks is a lot of soundtracks, very few of them really try to stand out on their own. The most boring you get is basic orchestral soundtracks, and there are millions of them.
Yes, yeah, very true.
It's like, okay, I understand composing orchestra and playing orchestra, that's talented, but gosh, I've heard the same stuff so much. It's from movies to TV to games.
I'm not gonna lie, as much as I
you
absolutely
have to admit it that sometimes those do fit best.
sometimes,
know,
yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes,
still-
but yes, I do also agree with the fact that they are not just slightly overused.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Well, there's
I've
a
got to admit
difference
some of
between
those.
an orchestral soundtrack and your basic orchestral soundtrack. You know,
Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
yeah. You've got
your
some
basic
people with
orchestral
instruments.
soundtrack sounds like the same thing you've heard a million billion times.
Yeah. Sometimes it does, doesn't it? To be honest. Right. So, oh God, what else have we got? We're nearly running out of time. To be perfectly honest with you, we have more questions as well. What's the next question? Let's have a quick look. You Christensen again asks, has there been a game that you have enjoyed more when you played later than when you originally played it? He does give an example. One that you played on disc and may not have enjoyed as much. I assume you mean enjoyed as much. Perhaps you did not put much into it, but then when you played it as a GOG release, it was more fun / enjoyable. That is a really good question.
It's a very specific question.
It is, isn't it?
I have to think about that.
Mine's probably the other way around. I remember playing my original copy of Planescape Torment, and it basically, no word of a lie, shaping part of what makes me who I am today as a gamer, as a human being, in all fairness, because I was at a very impressionable age. I was at a time when some weird bad shit was going down in my life, and that made a proper impact on me. So, GG for making that impact on me. But I think when I started to replay it as a series on GOG, because it was something, as soon as I joined the GOG stream team, it was something that was like my first question was, hey everyone, how are you all doing? So, does anyone mind if I do a series of Planescape Torment? Because that was literally it. I think I sort of was wearing a little bit of rose tinted glasses, because whilst enjoying it, it didn't have the same, obviously because I've grown up. Well, I've grown older, not grown up. Since playing it last, it didn't have that much of an impact on me when I was playing it, whereas my memory of it was a lot stronger than me actually playing it. If that makes any sense whatsoever. Hopefully it does, and hopefully I've rambled on enough so that the other guests have thought of some ideas. Gentlemen?
The most I could think of, because most of the games that I've played on GOGCom, I don't have much familiarity with. Like Rayman Forever, I played the crap out of the original Rayman on the PlayStation 1, but I loved it then and I love it now. I would think maybe Panzer General 2, possibly, because I had Panzer General 1 for the PlayStation 1 and played very little bit of that. Really had absolutely no idea what that game was. And didn't necessarily like it, but didn't necessarily not like it either.
Yeah.
But then when I got the chance to actually stream Panzer General 2 and really crack into the game, because Panzer General 1's apparently non-existent on anywhere anymore. But when I actually, because the last time I tried to play it on the PlayStation 1, it didn't work. I remember that, but that was many years ago. But when I actually got to crack into the game on the loveliness that is GOG.com, I really, really enjoyed it, those kind of war games. I'm trying to think of other stuff. I mean, Brutal Legend, I had played it on disc, but I liked it then and I like it now. The Raiden Project games I have the largest amount of nostalgia for those, playing them on the PlayStation 1, which is odd. It's like the first thing that I, like literally one of my first memories I have, even though it's really lame, is playing the Raiden Project with my dad. So, just the fact that those games are on PC and I can have access to any of them again, is really cool. But I mean, I liked those back then, and I like. I guess I don't like them as much now, but there's nothing that I specifically didn't like previously that I like now.
Yeah,
because most of the stuff I never played it before.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. What about yourself, Crocs?
There comes one thing to mind for me,
Mm.
which is Assassin's Creed. So,
Oh, right, okay.
but that one is, I don't know. I think I loved it back then. I loved it to bits, and I played, I don't know, 6 or 7 times through the whole thing. And I recently fired it up in GOG, and just, I don't know. I just had the same feeling again. I felt the urge to play through it again.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know, it's one of my all-time favorites. It has its flaws, but I like it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's kind of what makes them special, to be perfectly honest with you. Actually, no, that's gone. Sorry. Let's carry on.
What was it?
I was thinking of another one.
Say it.
I think I have a better one. I think Little Big Adventure. I think I played a bit of Little Big Adventure when I was growing up, and I don't think I really understood what sort of game it was, if that makes sense. Because I was quite young at the time and an idiot. But playing it more recently, like in the last 10 years, I really, really enjoyed it and really got into it. So I think that kind of counts as well. There you go.
Oh, and also, I just noticed
Yes.
the Prince of Persia series, of course. Why didn't I think of that before? I had those on CD back in the day, and yeah, I also sort of played them to bits. Basically, my neighbor used to come over, and we played those together, basically switching from one player to the other, or sharing controls or some such nonsense. That was really fun. Really, really weird, but fun.
Yeah.
And I have really fond memories of that. And I don't know, when I replayed those for my Wednesday series, that kind of threw me back. I mean, it was definitely different. A lot different from back then, but I had my share of fun with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, both times.
Yeah.
Basically.
Cool. Excellent stuff. That's some really good questions. We are probably going to end this podcast now because we're coming up for time. Don't forget to check out Chrono Wolf as he's coming up after us with his Night Howls series where he's playing Abe New and Tasty. I believe he's playing Alf's Escape DLC, which is really good and you definitely want to check it out. Also, I am going to end on one final question by Potrix777, and this is a very, very super important question. Potrix asks, I have an important question for the people of the GOGCast. I have thought about this question since the start of the stream, so I hope you guys really take time to answer this. Obviously, that's why
Better
we've
not
left
be
it
a
until...
freaking dairy product related question.
Obviously, that's why we've left it until 3 minutes before the end of the podcast. So I hope you guys really take time to answer this question. Hopefully, this question has not been answered on other GOGCasts. I think you guys can answer this question since you guys seem to have a lot of knowledge about games. So here it is. Here is the question. How about a round of Gwent?
Yes, I can't wait till Gwent.
That's it. I went for it. Yeah,
Gwent
let's go
out.
for it. When Gwen comes out, I will be I think I've put my name down, actually. I think I did it whilst I was at work the other day. When Gwen comes out, I will be playing it all over the place. To be perfectly honest with you.
GOG. I will be very unhappy.
There's got to be a version of it, surely. Like, even like, oh yeah, download the client. Yeah, download the client on GOG from our website, that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah. That's going to be it. This has been another GOGcast. Don't forget to check out all of our social media links at GOG.com. Basically, type in GOG.com, GOGCOM. You can see it on the screen. You can see it everywhere else where you're watching this. Into Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Bebo, MySpace, all those sort of things. Not Bebo or MySpace, although they probably do exist.
Bebo.
Yeah. Bebo,
I haven't heard of that in forever.
It's going back a while, isn't it? It's reaching way back
old
there.
website.
Way back. Yeah, so stay awesome to each other. Thank you very much for Mr. Pieman PhD for joining me. Thank you, Pieman.
No problem, dude.
Cool. And also the Crocs. Thank you very much, Crocs.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, so we'll see you next time. We're going to go. Stay tuned for Chrono Wolf. Stay awesome. We love you all. Play more games. See you later. Bye.